So, you might be wondering, where are we going to be playing this match? Well, we have a map veto to show you just that. And we'll go through who's banning what, who's picking what, and where we're going to end up as the decider. Because this is a best of 3. Important to remember.
Yes, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because usually in the best of 1 series, you'd see the colors at the top of your screen denoting which teams would start on defense, which would be starting on attack. But it's going to vary map by map by map. So as the bans are now coming out, keep in mind that when you work with a best of 3, the way that you ban maps is a little differently. So the teams will ban 1 map each, then pick 1 map apiece, ban a second map each, and then that final remaining 7th map will be the tiebreaker. So there's a little bit of different strategy involved than simply ban, 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 map, 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 with ban, ban, map, map, ban, ban, map.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
It's a little bit different.
It's a little different.
It makes sense the way it works out. It's nice and even for both teams. And as you can see, we've got the bans concluded here. Ninjas and Pyjamas' ban on Border is quite interesting. Neither of these teams like Border. Not really. They've got a mixed record on it. Bank is also equally interesting from Faze being banned out. That's a really good map for both teams. Yeah. But overall, looks like we're going to be landing on Coastline, Clubhouse, and Villa as our 3. So there we go.
And I think these teams have played on Clubhouse twice now, if I remember correctly. So in BR6, it was a draw between the 2 teams, 6-6. Now, there are no draws in a best of 3, so there will be overtime no matter what. So we're not going to have any situations where a team will basically end in a stalemate. That should benefit a team that's coming up after this matchup in Space Station, who have, I believe, 4 draws in North American Pro League right now. But when you look at this matchup in particular, Clubhouse is intriguing because you start off the season in Pro League with Ninjas in Pyjamas defeating Faze Clan 7-5. But then Faze Clan draws even in the 6-6 draw in BR6 just a couple weeks ago. Both of these teams showing that they're very comfortable here with Clubhouse. But we won't waste any more of your time, and we'll fly headfirst into the Italian countryside for our very first matchup of our group stages, Faze versus Ninjas in Pyjamas on Villa.
So, starting to get off, we have the ban Faze as per usual. And it's going to be Faze on defense, which means they get to ban first. They'll take care of that Montaigne. Makes a whole lot of sense. It's a difficult operator to deal with. A lot of teams would rather just not bother. And getting rid of him is going to be a comfort ban, that's for sure. Let's see where NIP decide to go with their attacker ban. Looks like it's going to be a Glass. Also one of those, bans that you're going to do as a comfort ban. It's curious that NIP's the one to ban out the Glass. They actually have one of the best Glasses in Latin America, in Psycho, but yeah, I suppose, again, a comfort ban. Faze also have good Glass players as well. Miragon, and that's just pretty par for the course here, especially on a map like Villa, and Maestro, much the same. It's curious, though, the Mira ban, I think, is the most, as weird as it is, the most upset of a ban that we're having for this match, and that Mira is useful on Villa, but not essential. And often teams will not run her, especially in the European region, because she just can be a detriment to your team if the mirror windows are broken. And sometimes it's really easy to do that, especially with all the soft destruction you could do vertically on this map.
I find it really odd that Faze banned Montaigne and Ninjas in Pyjamas banned Glass.
Yeah,
you would think it'd be the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. You know, you've got Psycho, who can play so well on Glass, so much so that when Ninjas in Pyjamas were given a skin in the game, they put it on Glass.
Yeah, it is a counterintuitive.
Crying out loud. I find it remarkable.
It is really counterintuitive. I mean, honestly, that's not the only thing about this match that's really interesting. The way that these bans played out. I mean, both of these teams are banning some of their better maps, and honestly, it seems when you look at the past record for the maps in this match that Ninjas and Pyjamas came out on top. But it's really hard to tell because a lot of the maps that we're playing here today are ones that Faze haven't gone to a whole heck of a lot throughout the regular season. So it's honestly going to be a really interesting match, not just in this first map on Villa, but also moving forward. This is the second time, if you count the regular season and the qualifiers, that Faze has played Villa. This is excluding BR6. And this is the, looks like, second time as well that Ninjas and Pyjamas in the regular season and qualifiers that have played Villa. So, second time for both teams. And both teams also have a 1-0-0 record, so winning their matches on this map. We'll see what comes of this, though.
Here's a major change for FaZe right off the hop. Their bans in almost every map tend to be Hibana and Echo. Every single time. Very similar to Norarengo, actually. Norarengo almost always seems to ban Hibana and Echo, if I recall correctly. And FaZe have employed an Echo right away. So that is something that is newer to the team, given their track record of bans. And if you're going to save, you know, we made a lot of jokes over the course of the season saying that teams were saving strategies and that they were trying to keep things hidden and prepared for as big an event as this. This is the time where you decide to pull things out that you've been practicing and working on. And especially with the way you look at these map bans, I got to imagine that FaZe has brought an awful lot of new stuff here that they might be testing for the first time. There's a risk involved in that. But if you can catch your opponent off guard, that's going to give you a massive advantage. And I think this Echo play is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's not just the operators, it's the maps as well. Overall, very fresh in terms of how it hasn't been done very much by either of these teams. Going to be some impact tricks to take out the exothermic charge, and Julio is really not happy about that one. Good job to, it looked like either Mav or Moringa to make that happen.
I couldn't tell as well from sound if a C4 had gone off or not. That would probably be in cameraman's hands, as he's the only person capable of carrying a C4.
Looks like you're right.
And he's used his nitro cell. And it was a little early. There wasn't anybody really scuffed on Ninjas in Pyjamas side of things. Kamikaze, getting the lead-off kill here between these two teams. Astro peeking a little too aggressively onto the window. And one change that you might see with the spectator system is that the kill feed will be in the lower right corner. Oh, and ill-advised run out there from the mute across the door towards the hallway. Gets gunned down by Pino. And Nip finds themselves firmly in the driver's seat with a minute to work with, Michael.
Well, that was a pretty much free pick there for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and now with so much power, the only thing they really have to get over are those Legion Mines and the Yokai drones. But as Pino gets yet another one on Moringa, it's looking dire for FaZe in this first round. Yuna gets his team's first kill, and might have somewhat brought this back, but he's got to contest two more people pushing in from the study door, and finally he will be taken out by Kamikaze, leaving just Mav in the 1 versus 4. Diffuser being planted though, as you can see, and Mav going for a peek in the hallway to try and equalize. Julio will shut him down, and Ninjas in Pyjamas take the very first round.
You saw that diffuser also, the UI of the diffuser also being added, and pretty new. You'll see it, and it takes away a lot of the guesswork as to whether or not you're actually going to be able to get the diffuser down in time. So an excellent addition that comes right before the Invitational. That was extremely well played from Ninjas in Pyjamas, and especially the way that they were able to course correct after losing out on their hard destruction. It was a clever rotate. You kept one body still playing inside a study while the rest of the team rotated around. You took control of 90. You pressured in from over the 90 side of things towards that classical hallway, and you just took every fight that FaZe gave you. And that was the big thing, Michael. FaZe gave them so many opportunities to punish them.
They were sloppy. You gotta be honest here and say that FaZe played that round extremely sloppy. It was not a good one. Cameraman playing aggressively on the north hallway just outside of AVG. I understand the position, and it's definitely a powerful one, but he got pinched, and he was forced to rotate into a uncomfortable spot. Easy pick for Pino. He follows that up with an entry into the site, and there's very little control on the B site after FaZe lost control of the north main hallway. So, yeah, tricky round there for FaZe. They're going to need to reassess how they choose to defend this. They did get one thing in their favor, though. The impact tricking worked very well, and it doesn't always. So FaZe managing to make that happen is definitely fantastic, but they're going to need to do that and more here as they attempt AVG a second time if they want the win.
And a wise choice from Ninjas in Pyjamas to run with the Hibana. There's a big reason why teams don't use an awful lot of thermite on this map. And as you noted, it's because of the impact tricking.
Yeah.
So you run a Hibana, you're able to use her gadget on the bottom panel. Usually one of the defenders will waste an impact grenade. It's not going to take out any of her ex-Kairos, so the hard destruction will go off just fine, and it will allow the attackers to have control over that wall, and because of that, you can't impact trick a second time because you'll be vulnerable and exposed through the 6 ex-Kairos that go off at the bottom of the wall, allowing the attackers to be able to see into where you're playing as a defender. So ultimately, a good call from Ninjas in Pyjamas, and even though they did win it, they still think that they could maybe do it a little bit easier.
You see that FaZe are aware they need to keep control apart from just the site. AVG is one of those sites that if you allow the attackers to completely encompass you, you're going to have a bad time more often than not. Cameraman, a beautiful C4 there. Wag goes down, and looks like that was a pre-placed one just inside of study door. So great job to Faze to make that happen. Must have been a call from one of his teammates, possibly Yokai Drone. Either way, good communication on Faze's part. And now Ninjas in Pyjamas are the ones that find themselves a man down. And importantly, the Thatcher is gone. Very powerful operator in this scenario.
This is exactly what I mentioned about the X-Kairos on the wall over towards the study. You're going to be able to open that up. There's no impact tricks that will come out from either Mav or possibly Moringa if the smoke is running those impact grenades. And you see Ninjas in Pyjamas, in particular Pino, now working over towards that classical wall after the team has opened up the study. Moringa's going to get a second kill for Faze there as it's a powerful blast to the Ash, who is all alone. I'm actually very surprised with how spread out Ninjas in Pyjamas is right now.
Yeah.
They are all over the place, and this Jackal of Kamikaze will alert Cameraman of his presence, and he'll get traded off by Astro. It's a nice pinch. There's Psycho to take him down, and he's going to immediately push up red stairs, but Cameraman is still there. A Yokai Blast will take out the IQ and leave Julio, a final member. They know exactly where he's coming from. Inside a study, they've got control of the hatches, or they've got control of the openings in the wall, as Julio now heads his own way over towards Classical Hall to see what kind of noise he can make. But he's got 40 seconds and not an awful lot to work with here. Moringa's low on HP, but his first encounter is going to be inside a study. He can't out-tussle Mav, and the Legion will equalize with giving Faze a victory on the site that slipped out of their grasp on round number 1.
Good job to Faze there. But now, again, they're passing the buck. Last round, we saw Faze play sloppy. This round, it was Ninjas in Pyjamas playing sloppy. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about it earlier. Ninjas in Pyjamas were all over the place. Yes. And not really focused on any one thing in particular. The beauty of the first round that we saw from NIP is that they attacked straight through study. And as pretty much a whole squad, they managed to clear their way into 90, and then they cut off the rotation from all the roamers from Faze, isolated the site, strangled it. Good execution. They also got some free picks along the way. Great, that's a good attack from Ninjas in Pyjamas. This time around, their roam clear was a little bit, again, all over the place, sloppy. And it left them exposed to the adjusted roam that Faze was bringing out, which was a little bit more spread out, expecting Ninjas in Pyjamas to try and clear. So, overall, good adjustment from Faze, and lack thereof is the problem for Ninjas in Pyjamas. But they won't have to go to AVG again. This time they get to attack onto Trophy, so it's going to be something entirely different on round number 3.
It's interesting the role reversal that the teams had in round number 1. Faze seemed hell-bent on taking as many fights as they could. Astro wide peeking the window, Cameraman peeking with his back towards study, knowing full well that Ninjas in Pyjamas had study control. Cameraman exposing himself needlessly. Other way around, as you noted. Ninjas in Pyjamas entered solo. They had nobody there to watch them, and Jackal had the IQ backing him up, but they weren't close enough. So, interestingly enough, just the way the teams played this in opposite manners. As you mentioned, the way that you defend over here towards Trophy and Statuary, you're going to have a lot of peripheral sites that you need to try and hold down. You see where Yuna is playing inside of Astronomy, not affectionately named after his teammate Astro, I can assure you. But you can also have some control over the bathroom as well, and those stairs that lead from the main floor over on Astro's side of things. There's a lot more work you have to do to hold map control on Trophy and Statuary with just as much vertical destruction that can happen beneath you as you see on Aviator games.
So, entry into Master Closet. Psycho's got good efficiency with his teammate Julio droning him in here. Psycho, again, one of those nutty shots that Ninjas in Pyjamas have. Just one of many, though, along with Pino and Julio. I mean, to be honest, all of them. He's going to be the entry frag because of that. No soft destruction from below. The Buck's going to be going for the nade instead to clear out the bandit batteries, and he will do just that. Already 3 gone with 1 grenade. That's great efficiency. Doesn't look like the bandit's going to trick. He might nade just in case, and he will. C4 misses there, and Psycho does not. Excellent grenade. Good prediction there. Moringa trying to go in, looks like possibly to mute juggle, but he was too late anyway, and the grenade will punish Faze, putting them in a tricky spot here. Ninjas in Pyjamas, because they're allowed to focus just on the Master Take, have great control.
I don't know if Moringa was able to get off his Nitro cell before he perished with the bulletproof camera up on the board. That's Yuna's, so you know that there's at least 1 available from the defense.
He got it off, it just missed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Pino's waiting so patiently for Yuna to peek. And he's just going to see a tiny portion of the head of the dock. His position will be given away to the rest of Ninjas in Pyjamas in the R4C with about 5 or 6 shots. But Yuna wasn't there. Didn't decide to peek it. Also, Yuna looked like he was just a little bit below the crosshair of Pino as well, so it would have required a little bit of a change from the Ashe to be able to get that one off.
You see, Psycho might go downstairs. Again, the Buck, potentially some soft destruction from below. We've been seeing really efficient rounds from both of these teams, mainly Ninjas in Pyjamas, of course, because they're on attack so far, and because of that, Buck has time to adjust in the late round.
It's going to be a utility dump in here from the flashes and the pings through the desk, but Yuna, having been overhealed, is going to take a lot of damage, but still be in good shape. This is a failure of Psycho and Pino to be able to capitalize, but there you go, Yuna finally gets taken down. He's been able to wrestle about 20 seconds of time away. Mav in a position to try and grab one. Oh, he cannot land the shots on the Buck. Psycho is there, and Ninjas in Pyjamas in such good position. Cameraman will try to salvage the round, tosses out the C4, misses completely. Diffuser going down, Julio will abandon the plant. Look at how low Ninjas in Pyjamas are. Cameraman with a great opportunity for a clutch here. Oh, he'll get it with the dying seconds, and nobody from NIP is able to recover. Cameraman and Faze will get the round in the dying seconds. Some solo heroics. NIP lets that one slip right through their fingers.
Yeah, that, wow. You gotta say, that was a Ninjas in Pyjamas round. Hands down. They should have taken that, but they planted in the wrong spot. We were talking about the efficiency that Ninjas in Pyjamas had early in the round, where they managed to take in a master, open up the wall into sight very quickly. And then they start to adjust. They start to bring their Buck downstairs and try to do some vertical damage, and then clear into Astronomy. Makes sense, right? Once you get Astro, you effectively have control over both of the sites. It's such a powerful crossfire with Master, which again, Ninjas in Pyjamas already had solid control over. But somebody denied their plan because they decided to plant in the open without cover. There were and are places in that site where you can plant and you're not exposed to somebody from the adjacent site doing just what Cameraman did. Camera is the hero of that round, of course, for Faze, and that round, I mean, you see it a lot. Rounds like these, or like those, pardon. But every single time one of those happen, it counts for so very much. And it could potentially be the difference between going down to the loser bracket and moving forward in the winner bracket coming out of this match. And I know it's just one round, and we're in a best of 3, but it is quite substantial. Cameraman hopefully patting himself on the back for that one.
This is a tough group too, Michael. I mean, yeah. It's the only real group that you can look at and kind of say, all right, well, I have a feeling that things are going to play out according to plan is probably C.
Maybe.
G2, Liquid, Mantis, and Mocket. That one just seems to be, you know, one of the best teams in Latin America, one of the best teams in the world. That's pretty tough to say that anybody else might be able to make it out of that group. You never know.
It is the most predictable. That's just, I think that's a fact.
I think a lot of people look at Group C as the one where it's easiest for you to predict, yes. But you've got Fnatic and Reciprocity playing. Reciprocity are a team that thrives under pressure. They play extremely well on lands. Fnatic, being from APAC, have had no shortage of LAN experience against other teams from Korea, Southeast Asia, and Japan, and of course, also from Australia and New Zealand. So there's no, I mean, you win this matchup, but it's not like your job gets any easier at that point. You still have to face a hard team next.
Yeah. I mean, 2 teams are making it out of this group, or 2 teams are making it out of each group. You still have the loser bracket, so there's definitely going to be a very refined 2 teams for each group, but it's all going to be very close. I mean, even Group C, like we talked about. Astro going to be fighting 3 members here, whether he knows it or not. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. Goes for a repeat, and he will be downed along with Cameraman, who looks to have just taken some bullets on the same angle that Astro is trying to challenge. So that's a 2-for-1 there for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and to boot, control of the top floor.
I mean, you try to do that just to be able to hold map control as best as you can, and I don't really think that worked out as well. We talk about successful roams, and we talk about the ability to hold off on the attackers, but this is just Faze in shambles. They lose another to Mav now, and Pulse downstairs. It's going to leave Moringa and Yuna. You've got 2 good anchors, don't get me wrong. You've got a Smoke and you've got an Echo still available for you. That's good. Those are 2 operators that are going to be very helpful. But look at the utility that's still stacked up on NIP's side of things. Soft destruction, hard destruction, grenades, smokes, good guns as well.
I mean, man, I want to say I like the setup from Faze because I like some of the things they're doing here. Like, for example, the Echo inside of Living Room. And he's got all those open walls to hold on here to storage. I mean, this is some good positioning here from Faze in terms of the anchors. The fact that they lost the roamers for free, basically. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can say in Faze's favor for this round, at least. And you can see Julio's just going to walk in, start going for a plant. Could be a Yokai drone above him. Gas canister is going to go far afield, not going to deny that plant. Yokai drone's also not going to deny. You can see Julio's going to get it down. Kamikaze will shut down Moringa, and now Yuna has to retake onto 5 attackers. He'll take down 1, almost 2, but Julio shuts him out. Ninjas in Pyjamas take another round, and we go 2-2. I mean, that was about the most one-sided round we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, so much of that was just your top floor control. You lost those 2 bodies really early on. I am a little critical of the way that Astro re-engaged in Statuary or in Trophy that he really didn't need to. You mentioned that unbeknownst to him, there's multiple bodies from Ninjas in Pyjamas sitting over by the doorway into Trophy. And what does Astro do? He tries again. After he loses 80% of his health, he rolls the die instead of backing off. And if he had backed off, you have the attackers either have to commit drones, utility, or time to try to pinch him. He could have literally gone into astronomy and just waited, or tried to stay alive inside a bathroom and waited. And he could have killed another 10, 20 seconds. Maybe could have taken out a drone or 2, maybe forced the attackers to have to use some soft destruction or some frag grenades, etc.
I mean, all things considered, it was bad play for sure. He had 2 options there. Either fall back and try to delay, or stay inside a Trophy and play off the island in the middle of Trophy where that deer is. I mean, you've got, or is it a buck? Well, whatever. Either way, you've got 2 options. He decided to do both. And because he did both, he left himself incredibly exposed. A mistake, to be sure. And again, 2 for 1. That's not a good deal on Faze's side. It did end up costing them. Both of the rounds, by the way, we should note this. Both of the rounds that Faze have lost, it seems like they are losing because they're giving away essentially free picks. I mean, the first round was the same way, and now here on the 4th, free picks. Okay, Nip are going to clean up pretty easily.
I find it really amusing, just pivoting towards what I just saw on the screen from Faze's side of things. Faze are all running that orangish brown.
Oh, people have been talking about that one, yeah.
Skin that it blends in. It's the Wind Bastion skin. Mm-hmm. It blends in perfectly with the color palette of Villa and makes it quite difficult in the thick of things to be able to see the full bodies of these operators.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversation actually about those specific skins from multiple people saying like it's pretty much the LAN meta right now. Everyone and their mother is running that skin if it's available. Because yeah, in certain maps like this or Border, you're gonna blend straight on in. And you don't have to worry about it. I mean, that's actually, I mean, it's applicable for almost every map too. Like if the color palette on many maps in Siege are pretty one or 2 colors usually. And because of that, you could just run whatever skin matches up to the map you're playing on, and yeah, it could be pretty powerful.
All right. Aviator Games, once again, the 3rd time we will see this site, the 2nd final defense for Faze, as they were able to win it on their 2nd attempt, but will need to do better on the 3rd here. Good pacing in terms of the way that Faze Clan have been able to hold off Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Monochromatic, that was the word I was looking for.
There you have it. Mm-hmm. Control of study is what's most important. The switch off of Julio's Thermite onto a Hibana will work wonders, but I think that was a C4 or an impact nade from below.
Looks like it.
Able to take out the X-Kairos. So the push onto the bar side of things means that Faze will be able to just hold off. They will lose their Echo, so the Yokais will just sit there as stationary cameras. Psycho gets down from below. It's Moringa appears through the floor as the telltale sides of the SMG-11. Be able to punish the Buck. Now Moringa's just going to simply wait. He does have impact grenades, so that was likely his doing that stopped the X-Kairos from being able to get the wall.
Good job to Moringa to be able to do that. I mean, again, we've been seeing some excellent impact tricking from Faze so far. Mav's going to take down Psycho, and right now Ninjas in Pyjamas are having trouble taking this site, but they've managed to isolate Mav and put him on low HP. He's pretty much the main hold for this B bomb site. But because Cameraman is in his crossfire and Moringa able to take down Pino, Faze are looking pretty good on this hold. Only 30 seconds remain in this round. Mav is lit up, but Ninjas in Pyjamas are being isolated and denied flat out. Good use of the gadget there from IQ, and down goes one of the Yokai drones. Moringa also going to get lit up, but another great shot from Mav. And here's another one. He's on fire. Holding out this from Gunvault by himself, essentially. Wag will take down one, but Cameraman shuts it out. Faze take the round, and that was a very solid defense. Again, Ninja Pyjamas didn't really get very many picks early on, and it cost them.
They got out utilitied and hustled by Faze as well.
Yeah.
Being able to take out that hard destruction was really important, and Faze kind of gambled all or nothing on the games side of things over by the bar in the classical hallway. And then it was Moringa with the impact grenade on the smoke. You don't often see smoke running the impact grenade, because usually you want to use the barbed wire instead, but it worked out. It was a great choice. Deprived Nip from being able to enter where they wanted to and put more pressure on Faze. And the inability for Ninjas in Pyjamas to have any hard destruction on their side, outside of that one small hole they probably could have crawled in, meant that Faze could basically just hold their positions. And Mav, inside of Vault, there's very limited opportunity for you to be able to push Vault if you don't get the Vault wall. Meant that even on 1 HP, Mav was able to just rain fire down upon the rest of Nip, picked up 3 kills in the process.
Now, Mav's always been one of those players, you put him in the pivotal positions and he's going to perform. He certainly did there. And that was, I'd say, the most solid win we've seen from Faze on this defensive half. They're going to guarantee themselves at least a draw coming out of the first half. It's a comfortable place. It is important to note, though, that overall, this is one of the most defender-sided maps in all of Siege currently. In terms of the map pool, the 7 maps that we have for Pro League and all competitive whatnot. I think it's got about a 60% win rate, if I'm not mistaken, across the regular Pro League and the qualifiers, and that's for 60% win rate for the defenders. And yes, it is exactly 60%. So yeah, you want to be winning as many defensive rounds as possible. FaZe will put themselves in a very good spot if they win this 4-2, but it'd be a standard position. They should put it at 4-2. If Ninjas in Pyjamas manage to bring this to 3-3 in the first half, and then go to their defensive half, Nip are looking very comfortable. They're feeling very comfortable, and they should be able to take it.
Unless you just don't play this map, or unless you got beat really badly in the operator ban side of things, yeah, you should be taking at least 4 of your defensive or 4 defensive rounds, and being able to get 4 victories. It's bad shape for FaZe if they can't win this one in particular. But they're perfect here so far.
It's really interesting. It looks like there's, I can't tell. Yes, there is an ADS. It has been cleared out here from Julio. He's going to double check to see if there's another one. It looks like there might have been, as yes, it looks like 2 ADSs potentially. Either that or they're hitting the electricity there. Either way, some missed nades and even more ADSs. All 3 are bunched up to allow Moringa to impact trick this wall. That is great game sense from FaZe, knowing what Nip did the last time they attacked from Master and countering it directly. This means the Bandit batteries will be intact because there's no Thatcher. I have to say, if the easier solution, instead of nading over that wall, is to just bring a Thatcher.
I mean, there was Thatcher usage from Nip before, but
exactly.
Wog is subbed out for the IQ instead. Now, keep in mind, there's plenty of vertical pressure that you can apply to this situation. Mav will find Wog as you hear the telltale cries of IQ as she's in complete anguish. And a vault in here from Psycho will be read perfectly by Cameraman. And FaZe now dropping Kamikaze as well. Just as Una goes to overheal himself, Pino's there, a quick snap, and 2 bodies will hit the floor from Ninjas in Pyjamas. You have Pino and Julio now on the hunt, but they're outnumbered for the time being. They still have time on their side, 50 seconds to go, but double default cameras will give away both Pino and Julio's positions. This is going to be tough. Not great for Pino as he tries to head in through Astro, and he's going to get the courtesy gift from Moringa of a toxic canister, and give Julio with that Type 89 and the Bearing 9. Not bad weapons by any stretch of the imagination, but 3 bodies. He'll get shot as he's running up the red stairs. He heads back. It's short work. Moringa, outstanding job that round. And FaZe will emerge from the first half 4-2.
It's important to note, though, as we just stated, this is exactly where FaZe should be. Again, with that defensive win rate on Villa being about 60%. Now, Nip going to defense. If they can keep their minds in order, keep focused on the objective, this is an easy comeback, potentially, for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They got the unlucky situation of having to defend, or rather attack first, defend second. So they'll have to adjust somewhat to being down 4-2. But again, potentially, if they're aware of the stats on this map, an easy comeback here for NiP. They're going to go to Trophy Statuary first, it looks like. That's quite interesting. Usually teams will start with AVG. Not the case here for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Also be bringing a Pulse, but they're 6-picking into it. That's smart. 6-picking into the Pulse means that the enemy won't be aware of it until they drone you out. Of course, because that reveal phase will show all of your operators to your opponent. You can 6-pick to avoid that, just for one.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think Trophy Statuary is that bad of an idea right off the hop.
No, it's not.
It's okay. I mean,
it's like Clubhouse, man. You've got your you've got your sites you go to.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter the order that you go to them in. You could potentially catch your opponent off guard in terms of the operator selection. I think that's probably the goal here.
Probably a wise way of putting it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the way these teams are going to run utility, though, is they're going to be ready to attack anything right off the bat. I mean, FaZe Clan runs this wonky Finka strategy that you see set up right now. Of course, being quarterbacked by Yuna right there smack in the middle. The Telltale Lightning Bolt Fist rising out of the operator icon. A set of frag grenades and Adrenal Surge. And it really does suit the aggressive playstyle that we see from a lot of Latin America teams, but FaZe in particular. An all-or-nothing, eggs-in-one-basket type of deal.
Scanning.
And we see the Finka from, like you said, a lot of LATAM teams. We've seen it from a couple of other teams. Even Dark Zero's had a couple moments where they'll run that Finka strategy, but it's not fully embraced by Pro League, but it is certainly a viable strat that we see often. FaZe are, by the way, right off the bat here, this is pretty easy to tell. Ninjas in Pyjamas had a much more efficient attack strategy every single round in the last half. So far right here, while Yuna has managed to take out Kamikaze, great nade. Where was that even from? I gotta know where that nade came from, man. He was positioned, looked like it's on the roof, so. Oh, wow. It was through the skylight and he arced it from the other side of the roof. What? That is crazy. Look at that.
That is a great toss.
That is a very impressive toss, and that is FaZe's solution to bandit tricking on Trophy Statuary. You gotta say that that's one of those things that you don't show anyone in the regular season. You wait till it matters, and oh boy, does it matter here. I bet you NiP don't even know where that nade came from. Very impressive there from FaZe to find it, land it, and now they're going to easily be able to open up that master wall, which you can see has already happened.
So that's a massive amount of control that one single frag grenade is going to net you, taking out also one of the best gunners on NiP's squad in Kamikaze, an MP7 to boot, an excellent gun in a 3-speed. And also Kamikaze could have conceivably been running that Nitro cell as well. So that's a lot of utility that's gone from one single grenade. We'll see if Yuna can go 2 for 2 as he's got a frag grenade tossed in hand. It'll just be used to clear out utility. He'll hit the Adrenal Surge, the second one on the board. That little thin piece of metal might actually thwart FaZe's ability to get through that wall. Almost seems like that Adrenal Surge is being squandered, as there really isn't a lot of movement from FaZe. They're kind of spread out all over on the master side of things. They're going to be completely ignoring Trophy side. They have Statuary as their intended target. The Pulse on the main stairs will need some covering fire as Moringa does set down the diffuser. It's a double from FaZe with Mav and Astro cleaning out Psycho and Wog. Julio still has his Yokai available, but no, he's going to get slapped by Astro, and Cameraman is there as well. It's a flawless round from FaZe Clan, who seem to be fired up here.
Everything from FaZe in that round was incredibly impressive. Apart from, of course, it was a really slow round. I'm going to hold on to that point. That was the slowest attack we've seen so far. Ninjas in Pyjamas were a lot more efficient in terms of speed. But what do they have to show for it? Currently, 2-5, FaZe's favor. It all started with the grenade from Yuna. Again, through the skylight, but not just through that skylight. He arced it from the other side of the building. So essentially, he threw that nade pretty much as far as you can throw a grenade. It detonated. I bet he didn't even cook it at all. It detonated just as soon as it landed. Now, FaZe were aware that there was no Jaeger on the NiP side because, of course, that reveal phase. They could have potentially 6-picked into the Jaeger, but that was a gamble FaZe were willing to take. Because of that, they didn't even need to check for the ADSs before they went for the grenade. So overall, just, wow, a fantastic setup from FaZe, aware of what their opponents were going to be doing in that situation, aware of what the tools on Ninjas and Pyjamas side were, and able to counter that plays very directly. Again, something as simple as taking care of the bandit tricking or mute jamming on the master wall, it's sometimes overlooked as being a very basic thing. But when you find the perfect solution, like Faze did, you are able to skip things. I mean, remember that round where we saw Ninjas and Pyjamas get countered because of 3 ADSs being stacked up on the master wall? It was beautiful play from Faze to do both of those things. They set up the ADSs, they set up the nade, they knew what needed to be done in order to win their rounds, and they won both of those.
It's a tactical timeout that appeared to be used there as well. I would imagine probably on Ninjas and Pyjamas side of things.
Yeah, probably.
Probably a good opportunity for them to use it. I have to wonder, and this is something that you brought up, the lack of the Thatcher to possibly take out those ADSs previously that Ninjas and Pyjamas had. Faze didn't use a Thatcher. All right, if you look at their lineup, they're not going to be running with a Thatcher again. Faze Clan doesn't usually have a Thatcher on their lineup, so that does make a lot of sense. Have Astro play on a fragging operator. He might play Twitch, he might play Zofia, he might play Dokkaebi. You likely have Cameraman on another role. Cameraman's been playing quite an abundance of Ashe this season as well, the most picked operator in all of Pro League, the attacking side.
Yeah. And we've got him on IQ right now, and you were talking about the lack of Thatcher. And I mean, IQ on Villa, that vertical play, we've been seeing so many teams do this. They'll just inject IQ downstairs, and she'll take out all the electronics from below using her gadget. We're also seeing Clash. I think this is the first time before.
First time so far today, and also worth noting that Clash did receive a couple changes.
Massive buff.
She was able to go, her SMG now used to be a 2-burst fire. It is now full auto, or semi-automatic rather.
Many pros actually calling
Full
it
auto.
the best SMG sidearm currently in the game.
What has minimal recoil? It's
non-existent recoil.
a suppressor on Psycho side of things. There are teams that will experiment with extended barrels and suppressors to see which have minimized recoil. Probably be my guess there, because I mean, Clash is a big lumbering operator. She's going to make an awful lot of noise. You don't really need a suppressor on that.
Yeah, I mean,
for any other reason.
Remember when people were experimenting with the Alda on the suppressor? I mean, that lasted for a pretty long time. We still see some people use the suppressor on that gun. I mean, it really comes down to whatever recoil pattern you're comfortable with.
Now Faze will move over to Aviator here, Michael, because they won Trophy and Statuary. They could have gone down to either of the 2 sites on the first floor, but no. They'll go with the usual site that teams start off their defenses on.
So, Faze again having a pretty slow round, all things considered. A whole minute spent droning, and they will finally have control of Study. They've got to have some amazing tricks to make up for this. You can see that doesn't look like there's actually any impact trickings being set up for the Study walls, as they are, I believe, fully attacked on the top. Nope, mistaken. There are some holes. Couldn't quite see it from the corner there. Impact tricking will be a failure, though, overall from Kamikaze. He did manage to get some of the Excaros. Looks like Moringa's going to be able to open up the crowd full if this also does not get impact tricked. We'll see in just a second.
It's really aggressive play by Moringa there to just get completely on his belly.
Yeah.
As you see all of those X-Kairos go off, so there'll be no impact tricking from Kamikaze as they've wisely had the defense fall off. But the smoke is still positioned over by the bar and is in a very exposed area.
Cameraman, again, talking about the lack of a Thatcher and IQ taking his place on this map. So powerful when you can inject her downstairs, able to take out pretty much any electronic from below. So a lot of soft destruction on this map. And again, that's, I think, the big difference maker on this map is who or which teams are aware of the soft destruction vertically and which teams don't utilize that. That could be really the make it or break it.
Excellent timing for these toxic canisters to go out as well. Keep in mind that you take additional damage when you have your Adrenal Surge active. There are none left for Yuna, as Faze have used all 3 without any real significant contributions to their kill count. In fact, it'll be Kamikaze who starts things off as he eliminates Astro on Repel, just over by 90. See Pino there engaged in a fight. A frag grenade goes out and Yuna's unable to find a target. Mav does grab Kamikaze as Moringa goes down to Wog. There's Cameraman able to out-duel Pino. He's right behind Yuna, and they're going to just push right on in, but there's Psycho with that new SMG in hand. Unable to land all the shots. Psycho gets down, but they'll trade off as Wog finishes one, and Julio is there for the other, and Nip will keep this game somewhat close, as it's still a 5-3 lead for Faze. It's a much better defense this time around.
You guys probably couldn't hear it, but there was a little cry from Ninjas and Pyjamas after winning that round. I'm sure very happy that they were able to take it, as they've lost 3 in a round prior to just winning this one. 3 in a row is not easy to recover from. I think I said 3 in a round, but I meant 3 in a row. And the way that that round played out, Ninjas in Pyjamas are aware of how Faze are attacking this, and that is extremely slow. Faze, in that last round, there isn't, you can't, they just didn't have a presence, man. They were taking into study, and that took them a whole minute. A whole minute. And the clash on Ninjas in Pyjamas side really added to the delay that Faze had to deal with, because, I mean, while the tools were there for Faze to handle a clash, I mean, you had the Zofia, they weren't able to make it happen. And overall, it was just a pretty inefficient take from Faze. They had no special trick like that nade we saw when attacking onto on Statuary Trophy. And because of that, Nip played the slow game. They waited. And when it came down to the last 30 seconds, it actually came close. And that's really striking to me. Faze almost managed to frag it out and win just off that. But they couldn't. You have to imagine if Faze had allotted themselves a little bit more time for an actual site take, we might have seen a different result.
10 seconds to go.
This is your second time's a charm here for Trophy, Michael. You mentioned how slow Faze was the last time they attacked this site, but they were able to win it in all-out brawl.
They had some nice tricks. I really like that nade. I really do like that nade.
I don't, you know, we're obviously probably not going to see it again. Yuna is off the Finca. He's instead on Jackal. There's a Jaeger on the board from Pino, likely throw an ADS down there somewhere. Mav has a set of grenades on his side of things, but with his kit, he'll probably just try to use it on the wall, be able to try and shake Kamikaze off.
It's tricky though. I mean, with the addition of the Jaeger again, there's still no Thatcher on the attacking side. So if you want to go for a master take onto Trophy, you're gonna have to either buck from below, IQ from below, or you're gonna have to do something from below likely, because I'm guessing a lot of those ADSs will be on the master wall.
This is very interesting to see a clear from the basement.
You don't often see it.
A lot of people forget that there's a basement of Villa, Michael.
Yeah, no, it's usually just a highway for roamers.
Yeah. But there's a heavy roam presence from Ninjas in Pyjamas right now. And this is Faze here. What a shot! Mav just beheading Psycho. Hello. Take a seat, Pulse. You're not going to be able to get that one on your cardiac sensor at all. Astro gets down, but look at this commitment from Nip. They've got another body downstairs, along with the Yokai drone there, trying to tag out the Jaeger of Pino, who gets felled, but the information is not available for the time being to the rest of Faze. There you go, a drone will mark them, and Astro will be able to clean them up after Cameraman had taken one down. And oh, every IQ's dream to see those many gadgets. Though Kamikaze will counterpunch and take out Astro. There wasn't that much left of the Zofia, who had managed to withstand a very unique ability to get himself back up. And we find ourselves at a 3v3. That's the entire roam presence from Nip. It's been flushed out, except for maybe Julio's Yokai if it was still downstairs.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Nice shot called out there from Psycho. Rightfully so. That was a very beautiful shot from Mav. Psycho usually one of those players that always wins his fights. And that's just one of the things he's known for. But Mav also an incredibly clutch player. He did some work downstairs, and the fact that the pulse is gone is going to be a huge boon for Faze. But again, what's happening here, Parker? Faze are slowing down.
I mean, they understand that after they've flushed Wog downstairs, they just need to wait. And that's exactly what happens. Wog gets droned, he heads for the hills. Julio is next on deck. Let's see if Faze are going to be able to breach in towards the Astro side of things. But Julio's got all the information in the world. He knows the Jackal's in there. He's going to try to win that fight, but uncharacteristically losing it. Leaving Kamikaze downstairs. With the Nitro Cell, he'll expend it, but he'll need to get back in towards the site. And the growing list of bodies over on the astronomy stairs will likely look for another. And there you have it. Doesn't even matter if the diffuser is going down. Faze with a perfect lockout of the astronomy side of things, and they go 3 for 3 on players from Nip over in that area of the map. And that'll move Faze to match point.
This is good knowledge from Faze. I have to hand it to them. I mean, they're playing slow on attack, but it seems they're just aware that Ninjas in Pyjamas get antsy when they have no confrontations. And that's the case. Wag gave himself away for free coming up those Astro stairs. It's really not what you want to see from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Again, getting a little ahead of themselves. We also saw Julio inside of Astro. He was holding the angle into the bathroom and then un-ADS'd as soon as it got peeked into. It's bad timing, sure, you could argue. I would also personally argue that it just could be impatience on the side of Ninjas in Pyjamas, more of it. And it cost them all 2 players and the hold in astronomy. That was, an easily winnable round for the defense, but it just didn't happen. Again, Ninjas Pyjamas getting a little ahead of themselves. Now, Faze, their patience has been working out, and now they're on match point. 1 round away from just taking this map. No OT needed. And again, this is a 60% win rate for the defense on Villa through the regular season and the qualifier. So it's just very impressive the way that Faze have managed to win even just 2 of these rounds. They're very close to taking it all.
Faze read that roam from Nip so well to go downstairs, take out the pulse, take out all the offside players, the Jaeger of Pino, the Yokai drone that was being down there from Julio as well. And I think it was just a misallocation of your utility on the defensive side of things. You gambled so hard on that first floor hold.
Oh my gosh.
Now look at this. Julio's going to take a big gamble, run out for a possible spawn peek, and actually could have netted Mav, but Mav was on, it looked like Mav might have been on drone, or Yuna might have been on drone as well, or cameraman, one of those bodies over in that direction. Hard to tell from the silhouettes.
I think they waited a little bit just in case of the spawn peak would come out. That's good patience and knowledge from Faze, because they're right. It did happen.
Yeah.
You know, those spawn peaks from Master are often frowned upon, but usually the dumber things, the dumber they are, the more known they are, sometimes you can get away with it, especially at this level of play. This is the pinnacle of Siege play right now. All the teams that have made it to this Invitational, that's pretty much what they are, top of the world. And sometimes you can just bring out the most basic peaks and get away with them.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people call those kind of peaks brainless.
Yeah, that's
because a lot of times they're not advisable in most circumstances, but
yeah.
You're facing a 6-3 deficit to Faze, a team that hasn't looked the greatest over the last 3 months. Well, Nip has looked like one of the best teams in the world.
Do some brainless plays. Maybe you'll get away with it.
Maybe it'll tell your opponent. Maybe you'll get under their skin, etc.
Yeah.
Excellent IQ work from cameraman here as we transition in towards match point. It's 6-3 in favor of Faze. Very similar to where Reciprocity is in Fnatic right now. Reciprocity is on match point against Fnatic on map number 1. So both teams looking poised to be able to take these maps.
You see, again, roamers downstairs from Ninjas of Pyjamas, and Faze have rightfully allocated some players to clearing out the bottom floor. There's no IQ downstairs this time, though. It looks like it's just maybe Mav by himself. Astra's going to take out Julio. That's upstairs on the anchors.
I don't know if Mav is going to be spotted. It does look like he is. So Psycho is fully aware of the buck just at the end of the hallway, which is why Psycho's going to hold this angle with barbed wire in front of him. At least the pulse will be alerted just a little bit before we're able to see Mav come on in. Pino will grab Mav, so great coordination as Yuna takes out Wog, and there we have it. An advantage for Faze as they look to end this map.
Psycho's still downstairs, though, with the C4 in hand. This is going to be crucial that he misses this, because now he can't deny the plant that Yuna is going for just inside of Statuary. C4 missing, being called out for Faze. Easy plant. Moringa's going to win a fight against Pino, who's trying to retake into the site. Now Psycho's turn to retake, and he's got a challenge onto a great spot from Moringa, and a second one from Astro. He'll win one, but not the other. Kamikaze trying to open up singles from below, and he's looking for a fight. He's not going to find one that will go his favor as he loses 50 HP thanks to opening up that hole. Kamikaze will also be downed as he goes up the middle stairs. Yuna gets the last kill, and Faze take map number 1.
Impressive victory there from them on. Obviously, a much-needed win, too, for Faze, who haven't, like I said, haven't had the greatest season so far.
It's true.
Haven't necessarily played the best, and didn't even have the best luck in their scrims yesterday, which is completely opposite to the last Invitational, because I feel like in the previous Invitational, everybody was afraid of Faze coming on in last year. Faze was clobbering everybody in scrims. Didn't exactly do the best in scrims so far over the last 2 days, but it depends on what you're looking for in scrims. Do you play them to win? Do you play them to try new things, etc.?
Yeah.
If you're trying new things, it worked out quite well. You just bested one of the best teams in your region, 7-3.
You know, I'm not going to name names, but there are teams that just don't even scrim at these LAN events.
Yeah, there have been a couple teams who have not scrimmed at all, actually.
Yeah, and there's a logic to it, but it's their logic, and it's just on offside. There are some teams that do that, and it's actually there's a reason, but like I said, that's theirs. So it's not the end of the world if you're not performing in scrims again, and I can tell you from experience that you're going to perform in scrims and then maybe not have a good actual practical match sometimes. It's a real thing. Maybe you'll get 15 kills in this scrim here, but then you go into the match where it all matters and you're not going to get 3 kills. It'll happen. So scrims don't really, I think, tell you a whole lot about what's going to happen in the practical matches where people are pulling out things like that grenade we saw from Faze. I mean, arcing that from one side of the roof to the other, that's something that they've been holding on to likely for a long time, and that's not something they would ever show anyone in a scrim.
Yeah.
You know, people say, oh, saving strategies. Teams don't really save strategies, but what they do is save things like that grenade.
Yeah.
Because, hey, it's one little thing that can give you an edge in a round, and it did give Faze an edge in an attacking round, which is very important on Villa, again, because the defenders typically have about a 60% win rate on that map. So, very impressive that Faze managed to win 3 rounds on attack. Ninja's Pyjamas only took 2. And they could... Hey, this is actually worth noting. Nip could have easily taken 3. Remember that one round that they lost because Cameraman was left alive instead of Trophy? They were trying to plant in Statuary, where it was an easy Nip take, but just couldn't.
It was the one where Cameraman clutched at the last second, right?
Yeah, it was the one who was going for the plant. Cameraman just denied the plant. Very impressive from Camera, but I don't know. Overall, poor setup there from Nip.
Yeah, and honestly, a really surprising match. Because I think a lot of people never count out Faze, especially with how they do tend to play on LAN, which is a very stark contrast to the old core of this roster when they used to play on Font Energy. Way back in the day, this was a team that excelled by playing online, but then when they got to actual LAN environments, they always seemed to succumb to pressure, and they fell apart at the seams, whereas the opposite of this Ninjas in Pyjamas roster, which is that this team is built for this competition. They're built for this pressure. And it's interesting to see the way that Pino's been put on this team, because not only does Pino actually have one of the best stat lines in all of Pro League,
Top 5,
and one of the best in Latin America, but he was largely absent from that game. And what we've seen time and time again is Pino can step up, he can read his opponents, and he can take over games. And when Pino's dropping 13, 14 kills, you're probably going to win. Or at least come pretty darn close. Wasn't the case at all. He just seemed to fit in with the rest of this team here and didn't really pull, I would say, his fair share in comparison to previous matches. And I don't know if that's just simply because Pino has never been in an international competition with this team. He's played on LAN at BR6 with the Ninjas in Pyjamas roster, but he hasn't done it in a pressure-filled environment like this, if we're being honest.
Yeah, and it is high pressure. That is the truth. I mean, you're playing... Your opponents are just a little bit over from you. One team there, the other team there. So it is going to be a tricky spot for him, I'm sure. He had one round where he managed to stand up. He got those 2 entry frags as the Ash, pushing into AVG. But then Mav stood up harder, managed to get 3 from Gun Vault to shut out the enemy team. So, I mean, I'm sure it's going to come down to experience, something that he's going to need to gain. And it might take them a little bit of time. But I got to say, overall, if we're talking about the teams, Faze just looked much more prepared for that map.
Yes.
I mean, hands down. And Faze have been banning Villa quite a lot, actually, I believe, throughout this season. They've only played it once. Both teams have only played Villa once throughout the qualifiers and the regular season of Pro League. So, yeah, it was a bit of an unknown for both. But again, Faze seemed to have some extra edge over their opponent. And again, on the attacking rounds, it's even more relevant. So that's great for them. We have map number 2, though, for this best of 3. Eventually, we'll get to it. And once we do, it'll be Coastline, which is going to be really interesting as well, because it's kind of a mixed result for both teams.
Coastline is a very interesting map. It allows you to play very aggressively. It allows you to use your tools as a defender to your advantage to open up a lot of these sites, to be able to roam quite often, to roam a lot. It allows you also to be able to anchor down. We don't necessarily see teams play the same on every single site. I mean, even a simple hookah defense will look very different depending on what you want. You can stack up bodies in aquarium. You can put bodies downstairs inside a kitchen, inside a sunrise. You can play them on the cool vibe stairs. You can have anchors sit with a rotate in between the 2 sites. There's lots of different options available just for that one site. Penthouse Theater has seen its pick rate plummet, largely due to the fact that Mira has been banned. And I'm very interested to see the way that these bans happen, because like we said, Hibana and Echo tend to be Faze's bans. They used it on a Monty last time. All right. Put Yuna in a position where they don't need him on the Monty. That's why he ran the Finka, which he's actually been running quite a bit in both Pro League as well as BR6. And I would imagine that we might see a different ban here from Faze that would put them in a position to bring out the Monty if they need to.
Remember we were talking about how the ban phase in the first map went kind of reverse of what you would expect? I think that was actually a big part of why Faze managed to take that. I mean, let's be honest. Nip banned one of their best tools in Glass. Could you imagine a Glass in that attacking half for Ninjas and Pyjamas, it probably would have helped them quite a lot. And not having that tool, I mean, again, and a tool that Ninjas and Pyjamas are really good with, and is even very, very, very powerful on Villa. I mean, I don't know. It was a bad ban phase from Ninjas and Pyjamas, I think, in that specific map. And I agree with you. I think when we go into Coastline, we'll see a very different ban phase from both teams, of course. But we'll only know that once we see it.
Glass is a pretty popular ban on Coastline, so I'd imagine one of the teams will do that. Now, I wouldn't have ever guessed that Ninjas and Pyjamas would have been the team to ban Glass, but that's exactly what happened on Villa. I would imagine that we'll probably see a Glass ban maybe coming out from FaZe if they opt to keep with Hibana being unbanned. Because, I mean, if I'm being completely honest with you, banning a hard breacher on Coastline is a bit of a waste, I would say. A lot of teams just completely forego hard breachers here on this map, and I would imagine that we're probably not going to see one of the teams use such a crucial ban such as that. But we'll head right on in, and we'll get our second map between these two teams underway. Could we see FaZe emerge with a 2-0 victory? Only time will tell. They'll have the very first ban. FaZe will ban out Dokkaebi. It's an operator that Astro on FaZe plays quite a bit. And once again, FaZe will ban out an operator that they use in their compositions quite a bit.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see her gone. We'll see the ban from Nip. Also worth noting, FaZe will again be starting on defense, as they did on Villa. And also worth noting, so a lot of you might be thinking Coastline's one of the less defender-sided maps, and that's technically true, but it is also still a defender-sided map. Every single map is defender-sided in this meta. There you go, Glaz, you predicted it, and it is gone. Again, though, it was Nip to ban out the Glaz. Very curious. Something that they are worried about from the enemy team. And they will also ban Mira, which is an identical ban phase from Nip between their two maps. Now,
is this going to be an Echo ban? A Maestro ban, so there you go.
Pretty much equal to an Echo ban.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they banned out Maestro last time around.
Exactly.
They usually ban Echo. That's been changing, obviously.
I mean, both of them are a pain to deal with, if we're being honest. So
they're just both so exceedingly strong right now.
They're not only information ops, they're also indirect denial ops. So they don't have to do one part of the equation like you would see with many other operators. They can do both. Kitchen service entrance is going to be the first defense here. So just worth noting here, this is the second time through the regular season in the qualifiers that FaZe have played on Coastline. They've banned it 8 times through the regular season. That is crazy. They did not want to go to this map through their opportunities to do so. The one time that FaZe did go to Coastline, they lost it. So not a great record, but it's similar to their Villa record. The one time FaZe played on Villa prior to the match that we have here today, they did win it, so there's one difference. But they also banned Villa 8 times through that regular season. On the Ninjas and Pyjamas side, 4 bans here for Coastline through the regular season and the qualifiers to the Invitational, and it's a 1-1-2 scoreline. So not great for Ninjas and Pyjamas, those 2 being the losses and 1 win and 1 draw. So yeah, something Nip are going to have to correct here. And FaZe, on the other hand, again, one of the maps that is really unknown. There's not a whole lot. This is really important. There aren't too many VODs, I would assume, on the FaZe side of things on Coastline because of how few times they've played this map. At least in the, again, regular season and qualifiers.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
We'll start downstairs on Kitchen. There's been a bit of an ebb and flow with the site rotation on Coastline. This distinction was worth noting about the double bars being one of the most favorable sites to the defenders. Well, I believe it still has that distinction, but I think Kitchen's gotten pretty close. I think Hookah actually might be in second place overall. So, with Ninjas and Pyjamas starting on attack, the second map in a row. FaZe will defend first, and of course on Coastline, even though, as you mentioned, we are in a very defender-sided state of affairs, with the defense winning 55 to 45% in every given matchup, rather.
Yeah, for this one, it's going to be 54%, 54.2 leading into this match. So a pretty stacked defense for sure for everybody. That is technically even, all things considered. But FaZe getting to start defense on both of these maps now, that's a little bit of an edge, and something worth keeping in mind. Now, Faze are well established on a roam. They've got people very far from the actual site, and Ninjas of Pyjamas look to want to clear that. They have a lot of soft destruction, which they can use vertical control because of that.
And the thing with the way that FaZe have set up this defense is they've anchored down 2 of those walls inside of the Master over towards Circle Couch, and Yuna using his yokai drones and then pops up and takes out Psycho. I'll leave Kamikaze in a heads-up fight against Astro. And the Vigil, unspotted by a drone, but certainly spotted through the reticle of that gun. That's an easy cleanup for Kamikaze. Here's the bigger issue for FaZe. Yuna is completely alone upstairs. He's gonna rotate hole inside a VIP. Might be able to net a kill onto the Habano. Oh, take a seat, Julio. And he'll be pounced upon by Pino, and Yuna will get 2 kills before being dealt with. The menace that was playing upstairs. It's taken 2 minutes for Ninjas in Pyjamas to be able to capture that second floor control. They've got it now, and they'll need to transition towards the site below.
At what cost, though, Parker? I mean, they lost the buck. And even if they have top 4 control now, there's very little soft destruction on Ninjas in Pyjamas' side. So they do have the explosive soft destruction from the Zofia and the Ashe, but it's not going to be enough. Not really. And there's no breach charges on Pino, so it's going to have to be an adjustment here for NIP if they want to take this. One thing that's really important is the yokai drones will be still active, but not able to disorient you. So they're going to call out information, but they won't be able to impede your progress into the site. That's going to be great for everybody on NIP. They could just take fights and not have that straight-up disadvantage. Mav is on a deep roam from Blue Bar, and he could potentially get an awesome flank. Wag's just going to vault in through the kitchen window. Wag's still behind it. He has the diffuser down, actually, in the main entrance to kitchen. He also down Wag. Kamikaze now the last attacker, and he's trying his best to get Mav, but he doesn't have time. Mav will very wisely just wait out the round. A beautiful round from Mav there, specifically to clutch it. He managed to down the diffuser just inside of kitchen entrance, and then after that, held onto it as he came in through the office at the south side of the building. That was a beautiful play.
Now, I really liked the way that FaZe put so many bodies upstairs and wasted as much time as they did, but I gotta wonder what would happen if you put the Echo downstairs. That's a bigger question for me, because you had Yuna get 2 big kills, but you had no plant denial. You didn't have a ton of information on site either.
He's gonna 6-pick it, guys.
100%.
He's gonna 6-pick it. Cameraman's just being hilarious with his 6-pick.
Also, just wanted to let everybody know that we could hear it here. As there was a Valkyrie to give information in that first round, she'll give information again in the second round, as Cameraman will go with one of the most powerful defender operators that we find for the time being, at least in Valkyrie. One of the most banned too. That after a 6-2 lead from Reciprocity, the Aussies have tied it up 6-6 and will send their match to overtime. I feel like I could hear Magnet all the way over here before we got that call that they had tied it.
Yeah, I mean that's difficult to manage and very impressively done. Now, one thing that's really curious to me is we've got a Valkyrie on the board, but notice who we're lacking? It's the IQ. He's just going to be playing on that Ashe, and we talked about Ashe being incredibly relevant in the meta recently. But IQ on Coastline, I mean, it's a pretty obvious pick, and one that we often see, because this is one of those maps where if the Valkyrie cams are outside, they can be so powerful, and there's a couple of those. This is certainly one of them. So definitely something that NIP are going to be missing out on. They have a Twitch, so that's their most counter electronics. No IQ, no Thatcher. This is an interesting setup here from NIP. Pino's going to show everybody and their mother how to get onto the tarps on top of Coastline. And yes, it is still doable.
Clip that? Somebody clip that for me, please. I need to see how to do that.
And yeah, you can imagine that there are going to be a lot of people getting on the tarps on Coastline in ranked from here on out. Look forward to that, everyone.
There you go. Coastline is very interesting, because you see a couple things. Number one, on Ninjas in Pyjamas lineup, Twitch is not a staple operator on this map, neither is Hibana. Typically, you can see Zofia, you can see Ashe, but as you noted, IQ is a great pick here. You see an awful lot of Capitao here.
Must have fallen.
You can
Capitao?
Capitao, Michael.
Yes?
Don't you ever interrupt me. I'm sorry. Capitao, you can see Zofia, you can see Dokkaebi, who's banned out, of course, by FaZe. So ultimately, pretty good pretty good spread of operators that get used. Hard breachers are kind of odd. You can see a shield get rolled out here, possibly a Montaigne, possibly a glass. A lot of diversity from the attacking composition. And I do think the lack of IQ is obviously going to be noted, especially when you're bringing an Echo, especially when you're bringing a Valkyrie. Obviously, there's no Echo up for this round, but the Valkyrie, of course, could benefit from having an IQ.
This has been an uncharacteristically slow round from Nip. They're going to get the first kill, though, as you can see. Astro will go down there to Psycho. Good shot to take out the castle. Those barricades were useful in delaying, but they didn't accomplish much else. Mav's going to take down Julio, though. So here we go, a fight back. Mav has been just such a powerful figure for FaZe throughout both of these maps so far, and he's going to continue to do so in the second round here of Coastline. He's got a good position. Controlling 90 is going to allow him to isolate the flanks pretty much single-handedly. Not that it really matters, though. Ninjas and Pyjamas are not attacking from a flank. In fact, they don't seem to have a clear objective at all, as there's only 30 seconds left, and they are just all trying to get into the building downstairs. Cameraman's going to shut down Pino, but Kamikaze will at least get the refrag. Mav in a refrag position himself, but Kamikaze's going to fall off that push.
It's a good time for Moringa to be able to smoke. Oh no, he sees the Zofia, but he capitalizes. Look for another Moringa. Open your eyes. How do you not see that? He'll take him down, doing great work. And man, those uniforms sure are camouflaged, but not that camouflaged.
You got to say it was the uniforms, Parker. He couldn't see him because of the uniform. Has to be. I mean, okay, so those uniforms are ridiculous, by the way. Just so you guys know, the majority of maps they make it hard for you to be seen by not every map, of course, but in the last map, it's worth noting that FaZe, who won the match, 4 out of the 5 players were running that uniform. It was really interesting to see their lineup.
When FaZe won, it was 4 of those camouflaged uniforms, and then the Hibana wearing the FaZe clan uniform.
I'm pretty sure it was
perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
She was standing right in the middle.
As all things should be. And I think it was Moringa who was wearing.
Really just unexpected Thanos me.
I think it was Moringa who was
we
wearing.
Talked about this in public.
The non. What is it? Orange? We're calling it the orange, kind of. I honestly don't know what to call it. It's just a camouflage.
The Wind Bastion skin.
The Wind Bastion.
Yes, it's the Wind Bastion seasonal skin.
Okay, the Wind Bastion. We had the same thing. Here's the thing. We had the same exact problem with the Season 1 skin on Yacht. When you play on Yacht and you would have the Season 1 skin, I mean, you blended right in. You were pretty much invisible. And it's been, it's always been a thing. It's because, hey, the skin that comes out with the season is almost always a camouflage to the map it comes out with. Not always, not exclusively, but we often see that happen. And here you go, yeah, the Wind Bastion one.
Now, Caveira might seem a little odd to people at this level of play because she doesn't really see a whole ton of usage, but Astro has run her a multitude of times, and we've seen her used before on Coastline as well. Here's the bigger issue, though, with running a Cav on Coastline. There's not a lot of places for you to be able to get out of trouble if you get spotted.
Yeah, and this is a long angle map. If we're talking about long angle maps and ones you would rather have an ACOG, this is one of them. I have no idea what Moringa's trying to do there, but he's actually going to be salvaged, it looks like, by his teammate. Mav going for a wide peek, trying to save his teammate, but he's going to eat a lot of damage. You could see FaZe are invested, though. They're not going to get Moringa back up, and it actually looks like Psycho will be recovered. So this is a huge gamble lost for FaZe, and quite significantly so, as not only did they lose a player, but they lost all of the HP on Mav. He's going to need to get reset. Probably will be done by Cav. It doesn't really matter who does it, but yeah, reset is inbound. So,
fun fact, with Rook Armor, you can reset anybody as long as you don't shoot him in the head. So there you go.
Pretty much guaranteed down.
Nip will be able to grab another kill, this time with Psycho, shedding, or rather unsheathing the pistol of the Buck, and then you have it, Mav will be picked back up. So FaZe Clan losing out on Astro, they'll lose out on the spooky lady herself, Caveira.
Yeah, and on the note of Cav, I wanted to say that, yeah, while this is a long angle map, the recent Cav change has actually made her much more versatile, and she can play longer angles than she could in the past because that damage drop-off is lessened. Cameraman's going to take down Pino, and he's going for another one. He will get it. Psycho eliminated. Excellent marks from FaZe's team. Yeah, very impressive for Cameraman using his own cameras to get that kill, and to follow it up with a second. Mav playing just inside of billiards, and he's got a long angle into VIP. He could be that, again, that lurker for the defense that could really pay off like he did when he was defending Kitchen, coming from behind at just the right moment.
Lots of intel that's going to be available to Faze, though, even though it's a 3v3. We are playing on Penthouse and Theater, believe it or not, a site that doesn't see a ton of play. And all those marks coming out onto the attackers from the Yokai drone. Yuna will be trying to do great work. Hibana planting over by the chest. Oh no, you might have seen her trying to deny that plant, but it will be successful. Nip will walk away with it. They lose a body, but Julio in the post plant put in some good work. Cameraman gets down, and Yuna will have to win a 2v1. Sees the legs of the Hibana daydreaming, and Yuna with 2! A huge clutch, and Faze will grab round number 3, their 3rd in a row. What a masterful performance by the Echo, taking matters into his own hands.
Absolutely should not have won that round, but he did it. He managed it, and you could see the smiles on Faze's faces. 3 in a row. And that one, again, that's a nip round if I've ever seen one.
Absolutely.
Wow, incredible clutch there. And you gotta hand it to Faze. They are looking absolutely dominant. That experience seems to be really paying off, as again, Faze is one of the older teams in Latin America and one of those rosters that's been to so many LAN events that they know what they're up to at this point.
I don't know what's going on with Nip here, but they're going to need to find something over the next little while, because this is one of the worst LAN performances that we've actually seen from Nip.
Yeah, you can see it on their faces.
In ages, yeah.
They're definitely in a distracted mindset right now. It's pretty easy to tell. And after that, I mean, that round that we just saw has got to be a crushing blow to the morale on Ninjas in Pyjamas. Gonna be difficult for them to recover.
Attackers have located a bomb.
They'll be going down to Kitchen, or at least Faze will. You can see again, they're bringing the Echo. That Echo, not only did he clutch the round, last round, but on top of that, has been such a powerful force for the defenders. And what is going on with the operator selection from Ninjas in Pyjamas? No IQ. This is 3 rounds in a row that not only Valkyrie cams, but also Yokai drones have been incredibly influential, and there's still no IQ. I am baffled by the decision-making on Ninjas in Pyjamas right now.
I mean, maybe they just don't run an IQ regularly, but I swore we just saw Pino running IQ.
I think it's beside the point, Parker. I think IQ
on the last map.
IQ is one of those operators that you need to know how to play. You have to have somebody who's capable of playing IQ because she's so important on certain maps. And these 2 maps that we've seen, both the Villa and Coast, are 2 of those maps where she becomes really influential. Especially considering nobody's banning the Echo. Or the Valkyrie. We sometimes see
it's
that.
funny, though, that we go from, like I said, and I think it's always worth reminding people that FaZe Clan went from banning Echo every match to reliably using this Echo every single time. And I mean, it's paid dividends here, and
what?
How do you lose that fight, Pino? But Psycho just sprints right on in, immediately traded out, and we've got 4 frags, 5 frags in 90 seconds or less, and your 6th frag is free, Michael. And FaZe have lost complete control outside of the site. There's still drones available from Nip here to be able to figure out exactly where both Moringa and Cameraman are playing. He's still got 2 of the best guns on attack left in the hands of Nip. It's going to be the best opportunity for the Ninjas to be able to finally take a round.
Moringa's in a good position if he can catch somebody off guard, otherwise he's exposed, incredibly so. And it looks like Zofia Julio is going to spot him, meaning Moringa is likely a free frag at this point. He gets peeked though, missed shots from Julio, missed opportunities. C4 misses though as well, and actually that might have done damage to Moringa. But that doesn't really matter at this point. He's on 1 HP, or 1 bullet's worth of HP, and he'll be eliminated quite easily. A peek from Wag, but he loses the fight. Cameraman will shut him down. Camera has been fragging out so far in this match, putting Nip into a 2v2, but the advantage is still in their favor, considering the HP and the time.
Michael, if FaZe wins you this round, I will buy you a FaZe jersey for Christmas.
I already have a FaZe jersey.
I'll buy you a second FaZe jersey.
All right, I look forward to it.
Now, very low HP, as you noted, for FaZe Clan, so this will be very difficult. But Ninjas in Pyjamas struggling. They're completely blind on information. They don't know where to come from, and it's a second rotate. As NiP have already rotated around, they've managed to finally make their way towards the kitchen doorway. Cameraman has headed upstairs. Excellent opportunity. Moringa will be all on his own, expecting a push here through those metal bars, but Cameraman gets it down. Julio felled. Kamikaze pushing in. Cameraman finishes off Julio. It all depends on whether Kamikaze is going to be pinged. 2 smoke grenades available, but Kamikaze have to go for the frags. Michael, I owe you a FaZe Clan jersey because Cameraman comes out of nowhere and manages to win the round. Absolutely astonishing.
Make it a Cameraman jersey.
You got it.
What a play from Cameraman. A huge misplay from Kamikaze. But you know what I noticed, Parker?
What did you notice?
Marks throughout that whole site take.
Those red pings from the Valkyrie cameras, consistent.
No IQ. No IQ. Again, one more round from Ninjas in Pyjamas and not an IQ to be seen. Please tell me they are going to 6-pick into the IQ. No, it's going to be Montaigne. All right, Montaigne's still a very powerful operator. But you know what? There's still potentially going to be an Echo in play. It's not already picked here from FaZe, but oh wow, no 6-pick into the Echo. Very interesting. So, Montaigne being brought, no Echo now. But they have brought an Ella. So Ella is going to be a good counter to the Montaigne, equal to the Echo, well, in a way, in a manner of speaking, not quite as good, but still very useful in taking out that shield. But there's no IQ. Still, Cameraman is on Valkyrie.
Would you say that this is a 0 IQ play, Michael?
You should have seen his face. He's leading up to saying that. He had this really smug look on his face, and he was leaning back with his torso jutted out, and his head just.
Oh, my torso was jutting. Oh, it was jutting.
He was really happy.
I was very proud of myself.
He was very proud.
I was very proud of myself.
I'm proud of you too, Parker.
I am puzzled by Ninjas in Pyjamas' choices here on a more serious note. We saw them run an IQ on Villa. They are being stopped every step of the way by FaZe Clan because of FaZe's utility. Where their gadgets are going is thwarting Ninjas in Pyjamas in the final minute of every single round, and yet they are not learning from the mistake that is presenting itself.
The last 2 rounds especially, we kept seeing marks, and it allowed the last players on FaZe to clutch it out because they had full information. Not just verbal information and your team's calling these things out, but literal in-game information that both teams are aware is happening. So this is puzzling from NiP. Well, they have brought the Montaigne, so at least there is an adjustment, and they know that they needed to make one. Because there's no Echo, again, I mentioned earlier, it's definitely going to be potentially a very powerful Montaigne, but the Guzmat mines from Yuna, again, are one of those counters that will make him retract his shield and potentially do some damage to the legs every time that happens.
We have an update for you on that other match that is currently happening on the Rainbow Six Bravo channel. It's going to be Team Reciprocity after the triumphant comeback from Fnatic, finishing off the Aussies in map number 1, giving Reciprocity a 1-0 series lead as they look to head into their second map, which might or might not be underway right now. We're just relying on updates as we get them.
Yuna's trying his best to deny this shield pushing in, along with Moringa using that gas canister. Julio's aware of the holes from below, but doesn't see anyone. It's going to go for the fake plant. No, actually, he's going to be sticking this. Yuna's going to use a Gurjmat, but no, he hits the straw! It doesn't matter, because luckily for him, Julio's fallen back. Pino takes out Cameraman. Mav will refrag onto Wag, who seem to be repelling on Big Window.
Just going to wait patiently for the time being, and you can see no diffuser going down as well, as Julio's just going to buy as much time as is humanly possible. Still got Pino covering over all the way towards Pink, but Pino can't land the shots. You hear the telltale signs of that diffuser going down. Yuna tosses out the Guzmat, and Julio does get felled by Moringa. So the smoke grenade going so well with Astro there to take out Pino off the window. It's only Psycho and Kamikaze left. Psycho will start to try and pull this back in NiP's favor as he manages to down and get a finish as well. Kamikaze sprints on in, but he's going to lose that fight. The Scorpion working as intended, shredding through the targets at such close range. With the ACOG of Mav having a little bit easier job, even though lost the 3 damage. still able to light up the body. And Michael, it's 5-0 for Faze, and you can see Nip is just overjoyed.
Yeah, Nip are in a really tricky spot right now. And as you said, you can really see it on their faces. They are not in a good place mentally. It's pretty obvious. Losing that first map hit them hard, and losing 5 in a row, I don't know how much chance there is for recovery here for Nip. And yes, okay, Coastline is a defender-sided map, technically speaking, but 54% is one of the lower percentages in terms of defense win rates. And if we're talking about the 7 maps we have for competitive map pool. You know, it's actually something Nip that probably couldn't have known, but the Ella Gujmat tacking on to the double bar here. Already with a man advantage again, Faze are gotta be, I mean, they gotta be sitting pretty right now. Extremely comfortable, I'm sure. This is a nice angle to be played. This is where I believe the Zofia was taken out, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong about that. Moringa's looking for a fight though, and he's gonna find it, but he will lose it.
Gets absolutely obliterated.
Yeah.
Good read by Nip there, and they had 2 guns trained at him. But it's gonna be a run out from Mav, takes a gamble. He's protected enough to be able to get back into the office. Hit Yuna there also, possibly cover. Keep in mind the double bars downstairs will require quite a bit of control from above. And if you neglect that, you do so at your own peril. Still no IQ on the board for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They will finish this run through on attack without using the German operator at all. It's a good opportunity for a run out, but Astro is back inside, thinks otherwise. And now, here you go. The Legion's gonna vault right out, and he's gonna give him the old Assassin's Creed. As Yuna also takes out Wog, and it puts us with Faze once again in the lead. Nip are just falling apart right now.
Incredible plays there and runouts from Faze, but Julio is going to bring her back to a 2-on-2, so nice and even here as Astro goes down. Pino's in a great spot, but he won't capitalize, and Yuno with a double. What a hold on the Sunrise bar. Absolutely beautiful, pivoting from one angle to another, and luckily, because it was the last 2 kills, we get to see it. Beautiful play again. And Faze now 6-0 on Coastline.
This is a point where you are just mentally in free fall.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't recover. You don't. You now need to do the almost unthinkable, which is you need to string together a perfect round, a perfect run on your side, which almost never happens, and we just saw it once with Faze going perfect on defense on a map where you're supposed to drop at least 2 defensive rounds at minimum.
Yeah.
Possibly 3, as close to 50-50 as you're gonna get.
I mean, yeah, a 6-0 in any circumstances is pretty much a miracle run. And you don't expect to see 2 of them in a row. Because of that, the odds of Ninjas of Pyjamas bringing this back, despite going to now the favored side of every map, which is defense, slim to none.
Overall, Yuna, who's gonna be on the shield operator, obviously in a position where he's been carrying this team on great individual effort. Cameraman also stealing around, and even though it only shows 6 frags, I believe he had a 4K.
Yeah.
That one round in particular to be able to hold things together once again.
Impact frags, man.
But also doing great work in regards to his utility. His team was able to allow Cameraman to capitalize on that because of the Valkyrie cameras. So.
Do you know what I noticed?
What do you notice?
On Faze's attacking lineup, Parker?
Michael, is that an IQ?
It is, Parker. It's an IQ.
And
Look at that.
Moringa, the traditional hard breacher on Faze Clan, is freed up to go to another role because you don't need a hard breacher here. So hey, you know what really could have helped our opponents? Let's run the same thing. And it's a good call because you got a yokai, 2 yokais from Julio. You got 3 Valk cams from Psycho.
And that's exactly what Faze had throughout most of their defensive half. I mean, it's funny, too, Parker. The reason that they started bringing the Ella instead of the Echo is because they were predicting Ninjas of Pyjamas would adjust and bring an IQ, but they didn't. So now Faze have a great tool to counter some of the most useful utility on the attacking, or rather the defensive lineup. And yeah, from the get-go, no adjustment needed. They also have brought the Montaigne, which is a very powerful operator, as we all know.
Coupled with a Ying, too. This is a particularly frustrating lineup to deal with on Faze's side. Spell a lot of trouble for Nip. As long as those ADSs can be cleared out, the Kamikaze is set down on Nip's side, which is likely where Moringa's IQ is going to come in so handy. You can allow the smoke grenades, the disruption from Astro's Zofia, and then the Candelas from Cameraman's Ying to completely paralyze and just destroy the entire site defense.
It's also worth noting that because Coastline is such a shallow map, you can tell where those ADSs are using the IQ from outside. You don't even need to clear underneath. In Villa, you're going to clear underneath, you're going to start shooting from below. At least on this map, you can call where the ADSs are, and your Ying can coordinate with you to make sure he doesn't waste any Candelas.
Yes, indeed. It's one thing that Coastline shares in common with Tinder is just how shallow it is. Kamikaze gets the leadoff kill there onto Mav, absolutely gunning him down. And you'll take out the Buck, Soft Destruction, and the set of frag grenades. Astro runs right into Psycho. That's an easy pickup for Nip to set themselves up in a big 2-operator lead.
Well, Faze are just losing their fights right now, but we've got some really good positioning from Faze overall, and a drone inside of Projector potentially still alive, probably calling out quite a lot of information. Moringa is fixated on Kamikaze, and rightfully so. Had Jaeger very lit up in a treacherous position. See the Doc's not healing. It's very likely either because he doesn't have the angle or because he's aware that Kamikaze is going to be basically a free kill at this point. Moringa misses out on a kill, and what a shot! Wag goes down. An excellent flick there from Moringa. A fight he should not have won. Montaigne pushing his way in. He's aware of the Jaeger, can see the foot, goes for the shot, and lands it. Yuna has smokes and the diffuser. He can plant in this corner. Candelas are going to cover. 20 seconds left, but this is looking fantastic for Faze. There's no yokai drones because the IQ, and too little, too late, they adjust. The yokai drone is deleted by Cameraman, and the plant is already down, so it doesn't really matter. Faze are in an excellent post-plant position, and all they need to do is wait. You can see Ninja's Pyjamas have retaken into VIP. 2 players coming from that hallway as they go towards Guitar. One coming in just from Projector, and it's an easy kill for Pino. But still with the Montaigne in play, this is going to be tricky. He could deny this diffuser potentially for a long time, but with 3 defenders, it might not be enough. IQ's going to down to Valkyrie. The Montaigne will go down to Pino, and there's no way for Moringa to deny this disable. Julio should be able to take this for free, and Nip should get their first round. But no, not enough time. Ninjas of Pyjamas get 7-0'd on the second map, and it's a 2-0 series for Faze.
Even with the timer, it comes down to the wire. Oh my goodness, Michael. And Faze humble the Ninjas. 7-0, sweeping away their rivals and their fellow countrymen. What a masterful performance, and it's a quick day for Faze Clan today.